everyone, welcome back to the ThePickleJar Podcast. Today we are with Austin Farmer, and we're going to talk about FS21 and how it will not be coming out this year. Austin, how's it going today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Just looking forward to the weekend, man.
For sure, same.
So, FS21, some big news has come out recently that it is not going to be releasing later this year like originally anticipated. What do you think about it? Like, what's the reason behind this? Now, we have some official statements by them, but what was your initial thought when you heard this?
Well, first of all, initial thought is like FS20, FS21, like FS21 to FS22 is like there's no more going to be no more FS games, and well, because that's what originally was like. It's canceled, so no explanation, no nothing, and then it's like, okay, so now what? And then especially for like us as content creators, it's like, did this get just announced that like the game we built our channels off of is like they're not going to be releasing a new version? Like, it's right. It's not the greatest. So
as a content creator of farming sim, it's very reassuring to know that farming sim has always released a new game every 2 years, right? Always, like never ever have they not. So it's always been a very like, I've never even thought of the day when they're just gonna be like, you know what, we're done, we stop, which it'll happen, but you just don't even think of it because they've always been so consistent, and it's so reassuring from a content creation standpoint. It's security in your job, in your channel, and whatever it may be. So when I saw it wasn't going to be released, I was worried. I was like, oh man, is 19 going to go down the drain? Is it going to die off? What am I going to do? I got to have to switch the content. What do we do? It was heart-wrenching for like the first few hours before Giants finally made an official statement.
Yeah, for sure. And now that the statement's out, it's like, okay, I understand why they're doing this. It makes complete sense why they're doing it now. But at the time, it was a bit of panic, not gonna lie.
It was. So I found Focus Home Interactive, the publisher of Farming Simulator, they're the publisher for Giants, right? Mm-hmm. They put out, they have a statement. It's essentially their quarterly plan or their fiscal plan for the fiscal year, and it details their revenue and all this. But in that document, on page 4. They had a clause in there that stated that there will be no new Farming Simulator title as per request of Giants, the owners and developers of Farming Sim, and that was it. I mean, they also did explain that there would be 3 new DLCs and an expansion, but that was it. That's all the info we got. It was like 2 sentences. So going from that to finally having an official statement from Giants is really nice, but I know in the little window where there wasn't one, everyone was like, kind of, what do you say, conspiracy theory. Like everyone had their conspiracy theory almost of like, man, why is this? And then like Grant even, we were talking about it with him, and he was really concerned about it too.
Oh, I mean, because that's his whole channel is based off of that. Like, if let's say, I don't know, like if you base your channel off for the last 5 years of that certain game, that game just they don't do anything new with it, doesn't get anything released. Like it's not easy,
right?
Like, and not always saying this, but like sometimes changing up your content drastically doesn't always go over great with your viewers. So that's
right. Usually, a lot of the times, a channel that is very typecasted as being a farming sim channel or a this channel or that channel, when that starts to drop off for them, they try to change their content. A lot of times, that channel will die out, and the views aren't there, and their growth and everything that they once had is practically gone. And that's where, like, as a content creator, diversifying your portfolio, making other content and getting your viewers used to having other content in the beginning is super important, because it gives you options to branch out. It shows that you're going to be making a variety of content, and it gives you a bunch of different venues. However, those usually don't perform as well as your main content. But on the other side of that, it's a double-bladed sword where you diversify your content too much. You actually will harm your growth. You will harm your CPM. You will harm your overall just statistics and and residual growth and everything. So it's like, what do you do? Do you be solely a farming sim YouTuber in hopes that they always make a new game every 2 years for like the rest of your life, or do you find a way to diversify? Like, it's complicated to try and think that one through.
Yeah, and so sometimes diversifying your content goes over really well for some people, depending on what your personality is like and what your channel brand is. Sometimes it goes over really well. Sometimes it'll just go over really badly.
Right.
And like being a person like, let's say Gray still plays, like he literally plays anything and everything, and his views and his channel still does amazing. Right. And that's what's probably great for him, is no matter what happens, unless, I don't know, something really bad happens with the world and there's like no more internet or something, his channel's always going to be fine.
Or YouTube gets deleted for some reason.
Or YouTube gets deleted.
Or they go bankrupt, or
who knows?
There's a lot of uncertainty being a content creator, because you're not necessarily ours, I shouldn't say, but for these larger creators, their career is in the hands of a corporate business that could go under at any time for any reason.
And I mean, I don't see YouTube going anywhere anytime soon.
Right, but we also didn't see Giants saying, you know what, no FS21, everybody.
Yes, this is true, but they have a very good reason why, and it makes sense. I mean, it would be bad business decision on their part, probably, if they didn't do what they're doing now, which is waiting an extra year for the next gen of consoles.
Right. And, Farming Sim has only grown in popularity, and FS19 is the best performing farming sim game that Giants has ever had. So, life is good for them. They are continually growing. Their revenue stream is increasing. Their marketability is going up. They're now, they pulled John Deere this year into 19. That alone, or I shouldn't say this year, but into 19, I should say. That alone shows you the how far they've come with these games. But okay. So for those of you who don't know, the reason that Giants is not making an FS21, at least within the fiscal year of 2020/21, okay, which means in theory it could release at the end of 2021 at the earliest. The reason that it's being delayed is they want to wait and see what the new generation of consoles have to offer so they can build it around that. And you know what? That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing I wanted to mention is like the new DLCs that they're coming out with. Like, I've heard some rumors, not saying this is going to happen, but I've heard some rumors that there's possibly going to be a Millennial Farmer DLC. Not saying that's going to happen. I have heard some rumors.
So I've heard of this. That
might happen.
I've heard of this as well, and I don't have any official word from Giants, but I do have some back-end knowledge on this, just a tiny bit. Nothing from Giants themselves, but from the person making the Millennial map, his map, right? What is it? Midwest Paradise? Mapper's Paradise. Mapper's Paradise.
They made Welker's Farm as well.
Yes. So they have said that they have not been informed that that's happening. They have not been informed of that, and they would have been told by Zach, who is Millennial Farmer, or maybe even by Giants, but more likely by Zach, if that was to happen, because there would be no point for them to make the modded map and continue working on it. Because, and I could be wrong on this, but is Millennial Farmer paying for the production of that map? Or is this...
No, I believe not. That is just solely Mapper's Paradise. I believe they did the same thing with Welker's Farm. They're just making it out of the sheer kindness of their heart. I guess I would say that. Okay,
but like I was saying, I've heard, and so I've heard through a little birdie, right? So this isn't from the direct source of Mapper's Paradise. I could be incorrect on this, but from what I've heard, they would hear from Zach if Giants was going to do that, because they would have just been like, dude, forget about it. Don't make this map. You're going to waste your time. But then on the other hand, maybe they wouldn't. So it's still possible, although I would personally think it's unlikely that that would happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess technically there is a chance that Zach hasn't heard of this map. I guarantee you he probably has, but like, I guess there's always a chance that he hasn't.
More likely, I would say that he's under an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, and he can't tell anyone that this is what's happening.
This could be true.
I would say that
I guess that's very possible as well.
That would be more likely. But I don't think, and I could be wrong, because the interesting thing to me is the expansion specifically, not the DLCs, but the expansion. That to me sounds like a new map, if I was to take a guess. Yeah?
Yes, because they had like the Platinum expansion, and that was in 17. That was like a whole new map. Like it was very game changing. Like I know a lot of us played on that one, and well, I mean, Grant did a ton of content on that, so that always opens up new doors. Right,
but I just really, and I could be wrong on this, I don't personally, looking at the history of Giants and just looking at everything, I personally don't think it will be a map based off of Millennial's farm. I don't think so, but we can't rule it out because we have no official word or anything. It's possible.
Yeah. And I mean, it would be really cool if that was the case. I mean,
it would.
A Millennial Farmer map. This guy has a lot of people watch him, and I personally watch him, and he makes great content. And something I've noticed is YouTube, the farming vlog kind of side of YouTube has definitely grown from the last couple of years.
Yes, for sure.
I've been seeing it getting recommended to me a lot more. I'm guessing a lot of other people too, because, well, I mean, I have never seen, other than this year, a farming vlog video on trending, and I believe Millennial Farmers was like 5th on trending or something.
Yes, he's been on trending. I believe
it's 5th.
Yeah, a couple times he's been on trending, I believe. I could be wrong on that.
And I mean, that just goes to show, like, YouTube chooses what goes on trending.
Right.
And, well, he's making trending now, so I mean, YouTube is obviously liking what people are doing with the farming vlog industry.
So here's the question: if that's the case, and his map is going to be put into Farming Sim officially by Giants, do you think he'll check it out at least for one time on Farming Sim? Do you think he'll make a Farming Sim video on it?
I feel like I don't know how this would work, because they've never, I guess, made someone's farm. So I don't know if they would be, it would be a partnership with Zach himself. Like,
it's difficult because you start to get into entertainment law here. Okay.
Yeah.
And with that, there's a lot of different stuff between trademarks, brandings, copyrights. And the hard thing about all of it is it's a very gray line. It's very, very just hard to determine. If it's never black and white. So in theory, they could model it after his farm and probably get away with it with no problem. But on the other hand, modeling it after his farm, so if he was just your average Joe, they would have no problem with it. But because his farm is an extension of his brand, his farm is an extension of his overall trademark, in theory, there could be some infringement there. And I would say to be safe, Giants definitely would need to acquire permission, which means that it would be a collaborative effort between both parties.
Yeah. And then I'm then saying on the fact, would he end up checking it out? Maybe they would make it like part of the deal that he had to check it out, do a video on it. And even if they didn't do that, I would hope that he would actually check it out, because it's kind of a whole new aspect of, I guess,
I would be interested to see him check it out at least once. I think that would be interesting.
I think it would be very interesting.
And I know I'm not going to get too into detail on this because I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it, but I can neither confirm nor deny that people have tried to get him in Farming Sim on the game before, and have talked to him about it and tried to convince him to do so. That was with no luck. That didn't end up happening. But I wonder if possibly, if he was to check it out, if it would end up being a collaborative effort between multiple YouTubers. You know, maybe he gets, because he's done collabs with, say, Welker Farms. Maybe he could get them in on there or something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Welker Farms did actually a couple live streams on his channel with his map.
Yes.
I guess.
Yep.
Like it's
Welker Farms.
I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, they have done some Farming Sim content. As well as who's another big one? How Farms Work has done some Farming Sim content. But to my knowledge,
that I have not seen.
Right. Yeah, and he has. I've seen it, but to my knowledge, Zach has not done any.
Yeah. I mean, hey, maybe his kid plays it. Yeah, I guess you never know, but
you never know. That's true. But
I
don't know. 21, you know, maybe not. I would say it's less likely. But one thing I did hear, and this is purely rumor, once again with one of the DLC content, I heard something about possibly 50 new models or tractors or pieces of equipment being added, up to 50, something like that. Now, I can't confirm this. Again, it's all rumor, it's all speculation, but I've heard that from a source somewhere. I'm going to see if I can find it here. But what do you think they would add? I'm going to guess some more John Deere, for one.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't, like, from my thoughts on that, they didn't do enough with the John Deere in 19. I feel like they could have either could have been a lot more DLCs. Like they could have added a DLC early on with it and would have made it a little bit nicer. But I think if they decide they're going to do more with John Deere, they should definitely be doing that on DLCs or FS 21 or 22, whatever it's going to be called. I don't know. It would. I feel like they're going to do more with John Deere. I really hope they do because I don't think they touched enough on it in base game. Because there's obviously so much more they can do. Like they already added a John Deere chopper, which I think is really cool. Like that, I kind of wish they had that in the base game to start with, but you know, I guess you can't get everything you ask for. But
right, and
I do hope they start adding John Deere sprayers. And
just to correct myself, earlier I said 50. That number is actually 90 from what I've heard rumored.
90, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. What that could be. You know, it's all speculation. I don't even know if that's going to happen. But I think, you know, as a DLC, that would make a lot of sense. You're trying to prolong the life of your game to get new equipment in. I think that would help out a lot.
Yeah, and I know as creating content now, and for some other people, I know that towards the end of towards like 2 years of a game, I know there's GTA and stuff. People have made content on that forever now. But it does get harder to always come up with ideas for new stuff as a game. Like,
and that's one thing that went through my mind when this was all announced that 21 wouldn't be coming out. I thought to myself, "Oh man, we're gonna have to make content for the next potential year, 2 years,
for even. Sure, an extra year,
right?" On 19, and that, as a content creator, that is difficult. I mean, it essentially, that is solely means we're going to have to rely very heavily on mods, and we're going to have to rely very heavily on quality roleplay videos, I think, are the key to success with that. Because, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was looking forward to 21, as your normal player, but as well as primarily as a content creator, because 21 rolls out and it's the new game and there's always major hype behind it. People that don't even play the game end up putting out content on the game. And I, from a content creator, I was like, yeah, that's the perfect time to capitalize, get more exposure, get that sub count up, get that view count up. That will help out the channel so much. And to hear now that that's going to be prolonged or delayed, it really sucked.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it's a bit of a, like, I know for myself, I was thinking, okay, we're going into the new year, only like another year or so, and we're gonna have FS21. Like, it's gonna be great. We're gonna be able to create so much more content.
Right.
And I mean, we've already been able to create a lot of cool content and a lot of awesome stuff. I mean, with the whole role play here, that was a total, I guess, change in what I guess Grant did. And then we kind of came into it. Like, the fact that we've been able to grow our channels so fast has been crazy.
Right.
And I mean,
yeah, and it's, so I kind of had the mentality, I'm not going to lie. I kind of had the mentality of we're in like the ramp down period. Almost. We're leading in to the ramp down period of like, all right, now we're not quite there yet, but I was almost getting in the mindset of now we're just getting through until 21. Like,
yeah, that was my thought as well.
And so it's, yeah, for us now, it's going to be interesting because they've never had that big of a gap between games. And I wonder, I think the shelf life will be fine on Farming Sim. I think we'll see still really good mods coming out, maybe even more crazy quality mods because we have a little bit of extra time. So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
And I've been talking with modders myself, and a lot of them that have said they were going to probably wait until like FS21 to like keep working on their mods and whatever. But now this can be possibly delayed next year, or if not more. They're going to start working on them, so that means we get a lot more cool mods, and that gives people more time to create and convert different scripts, so we can have even more cool stuff. Like, for instance, we even got moving suspension. That has never been a thing until FS19.
Right. And, you see this in 17 too, where right at the end of 17's lifespan, when 19 came out, there were actually some really, really cool, really quality mods to come out, at least for 17 standards, that really didn't get anything publicity or much use, except for those that still play 17, that are very faithful to 17. So from your average gamer, I actually think the delay is a good thing. I think it's a great thing. You're going to get more value out of your game. You're going to get more time and even possibly better mods. So overall, for your average player of Farming Sim, I think the delay is actually a good thing. On one condition, though. 21 can't be your standard usual upgrade of Farming Sim. It needs to be a significant
it better be
boost.
good. Just saying.
It needs
better
to be good. Right. If they don't significantly improve when 21 comes out, or the next game, we should say, because we don't even know if it'll come out in 2021. So the next Farming Sim game, if it doesn't have a significant increase in quality, I'm going to be upset. If it's just their standard, like, 17 to 19, I'm not going to be very happy about that.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the stuff that was in-game, it was just a lot of upgraded 17 stuff, like, or mods that had already been there. And I know that Giants had taken some of the ideas from 17, and if not some of the actual modders' work, especially for cotton and stuff like this. That was a big thing in 17. Like, people were freaking out about that when that happened, because that was all modders that did that. Right. And then I feel like 19, they kind of implemented that into base game. But I mean, a lot of the stuff we have in 19 was already modded into 17. So really, other than upgraded graphics and stuff, like, we kind of already had that in mods.
Right. And there with graphics, that's another good point. So was it 13 to 15? Was that when they did their shift to a new engine?
Not 100% sure. I think so.
I think it was 13 to 15. They shifted to a new engine. And then we've been riding off of that engine since 15 now. They've been improving it, of course, constantly. With 19, they improved the lighting a ton, and atmosphere, and skybox, things like that. But I kind of want to see them do another shift like they did 13 to 15 with a completely new, upgraded, improved, whatever you want to call it, graphics engine. I think that would be great. But whether or not that'll happen, I don't know.
And I mean, considering if you look at what like Rockstar has done and stuff, like they released GTA 5 back in 2013.
Yeah, GTA 5 released August 2013.
Yeah, and there hasn't been a new either announcement of a new release or anything new on that. And like GTA 5 still holds up really good.
It's still one of the top games really right now. And a lot of that, I mean, all of it is due to GTA Online and their continual updates, DLCs, you know, whatever you want to call it. To that, they've prolonged the shelf life of the game, which I think, from a business standpoint, is possibly even what Giants is trying to do. I feel like maybe we'll start to see a trend of, instead of every 2 years, we go every 3 years now.
If not 4 or 5.
Right. I feel like
I feel like that's a good thing, though.
It is, and it isn't. It depends on how it's executed, for sure.
Yeah.
But if they can continue support through it like they do with GTA Online, or like Rockstar does with continual updates, DLCs, new content, whatever it may be, if Farming Sim can keep that up, I think it could work out fine for them. I think it could work out well.
Yeah, and for instance, another game like Minecraft, they basically had the exact same game, but they just have improved the game visually. They've updated it so much, and they haven't released, like, per se, a Minecraft 2, because they haven't needed to, because they've just been able to take the same game and not have to put all the money into marketing and stuff for a whole new version of the game when it's already so popular, and they can just update it as it is. And it's always gaining popularity, and if not, it will always be there.
Right. And another option, or another kind of example of that, is Euro Truck Simulator 2. That game released in 2012-ish, 11 maybe, 12, somewhere around there. And they've done continual updates on it. And it is as popular as ever. It's actually more popular than, say, American Truck Simulator. So I think Giants is probably trying to take a page out of those developers' books and prolong the shelf life of the game, which it's a smart move. It really is.
Yeah, and I feel like people were starting to get disappointed with the Farming Simulator series because it wasn't getting updated, like it wasn't getting the true attention it deserved, because they were just pushing out a new version of the game every 2 years. And it wasn't getting the
nominal
actual
changes. That was the big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say the changes were nominal, but in the grand scheme of things, they are. I mean, 17 to 19. Oh, okay. Improved lighting, improved shadows, whatever. Improved atmosphere. Skybox has changed. You know, they changed their graphics around a little bit. Oh, your paint can chip now. One of the biggest things is multiplayer. They really improved multiplayer, where you can have multiple farms. They can all own different land, different equipment, things like that. I'd say that's one of the biggest improvements. But in the grand scheme of things, like, that's not a whole lot in changes.
Yeah, and I feel like another thing that really needs to be improved on the new Farming Simulator game is multiplayer. Syncing into a game. You shouldn't have to stop everybody to sync in a game. I mean, that's GTA can do it without doing that. Minecraft, pretty much any multiplayer game, you don't have to sync with people. And as well, what was another thing? I completely had it on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it anymore.
I think improving, on the topic of improving multiplayer, the ability to trade ownership of land and equipment and cattle or livestock, whatever it may be. I think that would be huge and very useful.
Oh, for sure.
And it's not even that they need to make it so where, like, okay, I want to sell this land to this person for this much. You don't need to do that. You could literally just make it toggleable. Toggleable?
Yeah, I think that's how you say it.
I think that's how you say it. You can make it selectable, changeable, whatever, to where you can be like, and this person now owns this land, because there's already a money transfer system. And then the person could just go in and transfer whatever money value you agreed on, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like seasons needs to be implemented into base game.
And I feel like it will be.
Yes.
With this delay. I definitely think that'll be something that's coming. I know in 19 they were working on dynamic ground and pulled that last second because and I know they were working on it. I know they pulled it last second. I didn't know why. Someone told me it was because the person that was working on all that code and everything quit and went on to work for another developer making a different farming game. Whether or not that's the real reason, I don't know. But dynamic ground is something that they looked into and almost had in 19. I think that should and probably will be something we'll see in the next farming sim game.
Oh, I really hope so, because that would make it honestly a lot better. And another small fact is in the Farming Simulator trailer, which was released a long time ago, but for instance, a dog getting in the back of a truck.
Yeah.
Okay, that we can all agree that would be super dope.
Yeah.
All right. And they had it in the trailer, but it wasn't in the game.
So
and I believe
there's another interesting thing. I heard that the intention was that your dog would be able to do that and follow you, get in the back of the truck, but it wasn't quite there. And this all boils down to they didn't have the time to flesh it out. There were bugs, there were issues, so they pulled it completely. Same as dynamic ground, possibly, although that person leaving possibly had something to do with it, if that was the case. But I heard that your dog was supposed to be able to do what the dog did in the trailer, but they had to kind of nerf him a little bit and make it to where, he stays near his doghouse.
Yeah, and I believe it was actually in-game at one point. They just decided it was going to pull it because it had too many glitches and bugs and stuff.
So your dog can follow you right now in-game.
Yes.
But only within a certain diameter radius of its doghouse.
Uh-huh.
So, or I don't know if that's me. I assume it's a diameter radius, but I know for a fact they can't get in a vehicle with you. Oh, also, passenger script, stock. If there are 4 seats in a vehicle, 4 butts better be able to fit in it, man. Like, what's this with only putting 1 person in?
And I mean, if modders can do it, Giants can do it too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And like actual working suspension. I mean, we've got modders over here figuring that out like it's nothing. All right. They just got to take the time. And these are people with full-time jobs, and they're just doing this as a hobby. And they're already putting out more than Giants.
You know what else I would love to see?
Stuff.
Right now, the game controls are very arcade-like. You push forward, it goes forward. You push back, it goes back. I would love to see, in a way, so like a tractor. I'd love to see you be able to idle up your engine separate from your speed, because that's what tractors do. And I know there are mods that do that. In 17, there was a mod. I believe the mod just came out for 19. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. Don't quote me. But I believe something like that just came out. Again, I could be wrong. But I'd love to see that in the game stock. And if it doesn't come, that's fine. Like, modders will take care of it. But I think Farming Sim has relied on their modders too much lately. I think...
Yeah. And they've made it difficult. If anything, they've made it difficult for them because they're not releasing new versions of the GE Giants editor, and not releasing Lewis scripts and stuff like it. They make it actually pretty darn hard for some modders to actually get what they need to done.
Right. A little bit more support, maybe a little bit more appreciation for the modding community. Because I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be real honest, Giants. If you hear this, I know you won't. The game sucks without mods. I'm just going to say it. I know that's probably like a lot of people might be triggered right now, okay? But it's the reality. You play the game, you love it for a little while, and it gets real stale real fast when you don't have mods.
Yeah, I can agree with that too. I know I played FS 13 and 15 with pretty much no mods, and because I didn't know at the time how to install them, and the game got pretty bland pretty fast. Right. And don't get me wrong, I still came back and played it every so often, but there's only so much you can do with the game if it doesn't have mods.
Right.
And if your game didn't have mods, it would honestly, GTA wouldn't be as popular, Minecraft wouldn't be as popular, and Farm Sim wouldn't be as popular. It's just, games need mods.
Games,
plain and simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely.
And I think that's another
agree.
reason why Cattle and Crops. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the game. that came out in 2015. They've already got dynamic ground. Like,
yes. So
hey,
fun
just
fact.
saying.
When I said that the individual, and you say that came out in 2015, yeah?
I think it came out in 2015. Could have came out in 2016, 2017.
Okay.
Pretty sure it was 15 though.
If it came out in 15, then my statement earlier about the individual leaving Giants is possibly inaccurate. And because I didn't source that as a credible source, I didn't look into it myself. But I was told that the individual left Giants to go work on Cattles and Crop. So if that game came out when you said it did, I would say that's debunked most likely. I would say it's unlikely that happened since the timeline just doesn't line up. But either way, I do know that they almost had dynamic ground in 19. I watched an interview with a developer who said that.
Oh, I retract my statement. It was June 9th, 2017. I was very wrong.
2017 and I suppose 19 probably. I mean, they could have just started production.
It could have just started, and they were planning to put it in. And
right,
I haven't played Cattle and Crops yet, but
neither have I.
I believe that the ground is supposed to be very, very realistic in that.
Yeah. I mean, I would love, a spin tires level dynamic ground. I think that'd be super cool to be able to actually get stuck in mud for real. The fake mud that we have in like Nebraska, it's great, but it's always there, which is annoying. Even if it does dry up, it's not as bad, but it's never truly gone. But yeah, dynamic ground is something that is huge and definitely is needed.
And I feel like, for instance, Farmers Dynasty, Cattle and Crops, and I believe there's a couple other Farmers Life or something. There's a couple other games that they don't have mods, so the game never really gets very popular. Right, is the only issue. Or they don't add new DLCs, or it's just they're kind of putting updated stuff on games. Like you gotta have new stuff coming to the game all the time. It's kind of the whole deal with it.
Definitely.
And if you don't, your game's gonna die.
So I kind of want to switch gears here just a little bit, if that's okay with you. And I want to talk about kind of the YouTube side, being a creator on Farming Sim, what it's like, the challenges, the thought process behind it all, just to give people kind of a behind the scenes, real, honest look into why we do what we do and how we come to the decisions we come to. Would you be down to talk about that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So I'm going to start out with, we'll talk about the different series that we do. Because you and I were talking a little bit earlier and before we started recording, and we were talking about how, a lot of times you don't want to end a map because there's so much potential on it yet, but new things come out, you come up with new ideas, things that you want to do, so you end up cutting that map short, essentially, or you end up ending it sooner than you really want to because there's still stuff you could do on it, there's still stuff you thought about that would be cool, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people that, get upset when a series ends or shifts to a new series, just understand, like, there's a reason for that. And it's because something else comes out, or we come up with a new idea that we become very passionate about. And if we're not passionate in that series, it's going to come across, and you're going to see it, and you're going to feel it. And honestly, it's not going to perform as well. I'll give you an example. My Lone Oak, first of all, I corrupted the save game, so that's why it's gone. But Lone Oak is gone, and I've just started a new series with a used equipment dealer, or kind of an auction house of sorts, right? And I've recorded the first episode. It released the day that this is being recorded. I really enjoyed doing that, and it's something that I'd wanted to do for a little while. And if I was continuing like Lone Oak or whatever, it's not a series that I could have done. How do you decide when a series is like come to its end? That's so hard to determine. When has a series come to its end? Like,
I don't know. It's so hard to determine that because there's so many different factors. Either you run out of stuff to do on the map, your save game could get corrupted, and there's as well once you have so much stuff on a map, and even with the best PC you can get, your frames still drop.
Yeah.
And it makes it not so nice to record.
Yeah.
And as well, if people aren't liking it on the videos, I mean, a lot of what we do is what people want to see. Like we tailor to our audience and stuff.
Right.
And so we kind of have to keep everybody happy.
And a good thing to note on that is how we determine that. It's I would say around, well, 3 or 4 different analytics. So one is views, of course. If the views are up, if views are good, obviously you like that series. We're going to make more of it. That's just common sense, supply and demand. If the views dip, go down, that's kind of a good way of telling. Another thing that we look into is watch time and view duration. Those are huge. But then another thing is likes. So all these things we look at, and you might not think that we do, but we look at this stuff. Even the comments, we look at the comments, and we see what you like, what you don't like, and we try and tailor everything to be what's performing the best. If I'm going to be honest with you, right? Like, that just makes sense. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say in any way. Is it?
Yeah. No, not at all.
So, it's, like, for me personally, I'm okay that Lone Oak ended. Because, for one, if I'm going to be honest, I was never fully invested in that series. I don't really enjoy single player as much, or at least farming in single player. Doing other things is fine, and I enjoy that. But I wasn't super invested in the series. It wasn't really going anywhere. I was trying to do it on a super tight budget, and it made making content on it very difficult. So I was okay with that ending. Some people are probably upset that it's gone. But what's a series for you? Because I know, how many series do you try to run? 1, 2, 3? What is it?
I think 3 is about a good kind of mix, because then you have like 3 different things. Now I do Farmers Dynasty, and I have my restoration kind of / farming series, and I have Nebraska. And then sometimes we'll do a one-off fit, or a small 3 or 4 episode series.
Right.
And Farmers Dynasty doesn't do as good, but I like to change up my content. Like as Jake said before, you want to diversify your content. And if you don't, and let's say Farming Simulator stops, it could be really hard to go on to something else.
Right.
And so I think I'll always try to either play another game or change up the series, or do something that I wouldn't do out of the ordinary, just to keep it interesting. And it just keeps your audience kind of interested in what you're doing, because you're not always doing the same thing.
Right. I agree. I don't know how many series I have. It's actually quite a few, which can be a problem, because people like certain series, and when there's a lot of them, the ones that perform the least well, they don't get uploaded near as often, right? So I personally think I have too many, for sure. I think I have too many irons in the pot, but I don't want to pull them out of the pot, because I'm trying to diversify my content. And also, it depends on what I'm in the mood to do. If I'm not in the mood to play on Nebraska, then it's not a good idea for me to make a video on Nebraska. And I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, you got to be enjoying. When you're creating content, you have to enjoy it.
Right.
If you don't enjoy it, your viewers are going to see that. And trust me, they do.
Absolutely, they do. And it's, if I'm going to be honest, like this first season of Nebraska, I wasn't really that invested in it. If I'm going to be honest with you. At the beginning I was, but then it kind of shifted, and it went towards more gameplay. We stopped recording together as much, and it just wasn't as enjoyable. And that's why I've kind of like had these weird spurts of one-off videos or stuff that you've never seen before, or that are just random and new, because I'm trying to find something to kind of take myself out of Nebraska for a little while so I can regain that spark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one of the more important things about having multiple series. Yes, diversifying is important, and that is an aspect of it. Providing multiple different options for what your viewers want to see so it doesn't get stale is, of course, very important. But I think the biggest thing is you as the creator, your personal enjoyment in making it.
Yeah, for sure.
What series is doing the best for you right now?
Oh, that depends, because sometimes I will have a certain video on Nebraska do really well, but I guess I would have to say all around my videos that seem to do the best are my restoration videos. I don't know what people love about them so much. I mean, I had never really seen anybody do too much like more of the equipment side of restoration, because I do like loaders, skid steers, tractors, and stuff like that. I never really seen anybody do that very much, at least from what I've seen on YouTube. And I've watched a lot of farm sim.
Right.
And so I feel like that kind of goes with a different audience. And those videos will always seem to do very, very well. And I enjoy making them too. And they take a lot more time, because when I go to make a video, I have to take that equipment and I have to mod it to make it look so it's realistic, and so it obviously looks like I'm actually doing what I say I'm doing. So it does definitely help a lot. If you know modding, it's a big upper hand over a lot of content creators that do farm sim. I mean, me and Buck
absolutely
do have that upper hand.
I'm dependent on whatever mods people make. Like whatever someone else makes or you make or Buck makes, I'm dependent on that. And I use whatever that is that I can get my hands on for content. And not being able to do it myself definitely can definitely make things more difficult at times. I can see how that's definitely a perk to making content, because you can make whatever you need, make whatever you want. You can do series that no one has ever done before. In fact, Austin, you and I, we have a series idea that I'm not going to disclose because it's really cool and I want it to be done properly. But I think it's something that we've never seen in farming sim. It's something that would be super cool. And I think it'll do really well. I think we'll really enjoy doing it. I look forward to whenever we actually do start it. Whenever that day comes, I don't know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But it's something we've had an idea for probably over a month now.
And
roughly.
I mean, we did test it out a little bit.
We tested
just to
the
see
waters.
if it would do well. And you know what? It did pretty good.
It did pretty good. I think people will enjoy that series. I'm not going to disclose it, once again, what it is.
If you really think hard enough, you might be able to figure it out. But
you probably can. You can probably figure it out. Yeah. But
for now, we're just going to keep it a secret. You guys will, trust me, you guys will enjoy it way more once you actually see the videos.
And we want to do it right. That's why we're not making it yet. We don't have some of the stuff we need. And if I'm going to be frank, we don't have the time right now. We have series that honestly, at least myself, I need to cut another series or two or something to make more time to be able to do that series. So that's why I've been holding off on it a wee bit. But I think it's going to be really cool. I think it's going to be really good. And I hope in the next month, 2 months, whatever it may be, that we can get that started, because I think it should do really well.
Yeah. And I mean, if I'm being honest, I think we've kind of been waiting for January to be over. Most YouTubers will know what we're talking about on that one.
So January is the worst performing month out of all months on YouTube. You know, the advertisers, they spend all their budgets in December for Christmas advertising. So January is a very dry, very low time. It's also very slow for views as well, interestingly. It starts to pick up again in February, but February is still one of the slower ones. But then around March, around that break time, it really starts to kick back into gear. So perhaps you'll see this series around March, if I had to guess.
Yeah, or February, depending on when we exactly get back going again.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a lot of stuff we've got to get in line before we can even think about doing it. But I guess we'll see what comes up.
Definitely. Well, this has been a great conversation. We're going to cut this one just a tiny bit short. It's going to be a shorter one today. I have to go. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed our little podcast chatting. about a bunch of different topics with Austin. If you want to, Austin to be on the podcast more, he's going to be on more. Trust me. Don't worry. Austin, it was a pleasure.
I'm back from vacation.
He's back from vacation. It was a pleasure having you on the podcast. Thanks for joining me. And what are we recording tonight?
Oh, I don't know. I guess you just have to see.
Guess we'll have to see.
After this video.
Guess you'll have to watch whatever video that ends up being. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. And until next time, we'll talk to y'all later.